Sir, we need to see proof of citizenship.
I'm sorry, what? I'm just sitting here at the VA hospital?
Why would you undocumented individuals be using VA services? We need to verify your leg.
I'm a veteran. I lost my leg serving this country. What report you talking about?
That's what everyone says.
The exchange happened at 10:35 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in the lobby of the Denver VA Medical Center, where 36-year-old Rafael Mendoza was waiting for his weekly physical therapy appointment. What federal agents thought would be a routine verification would instead become a nationally televised example of how military service and visible disability couldn't protect some veterans from being treated as suspects in their own country. The security footage would capture every moment, and the $21.7 million verdict would send shockwaves through federal enforcement agencies. Before I go any further, where are you watching this from? Seriously, drop your location below. And if you've never hit subscribe on this channel, do it now, because this story is going to show you how even sacrifice for your country doesn't guarantee you'll be treated with dignity. Rafael Mendoza had enlisted in the Army at 19, straight out of high school in Detroit. He'd grown up in a working-class neighborhood where joining the military was often the clearest path to college money and career opportunities. His parents had worked factory jobs for decades, raised Rafael and his two sisters to be proud Americans, and taught them that service to country mattered. Rafael had excelled in the Army. He'd completed infantry training, earned his Ranger tab, deployed to Afghanistan twice. On his second deployment, an IED explosion had torn through his patrol vehicle, killing two of his fellow soldiers and devastating Rafael's left leg below the knee. The field surgeons had tried to save it. They'd performed 3 operations over 2 weeks at Bagram Airfield. But the damage was too severe, the infection too aggressive. The leg came off and Rafael's life changed forever. He'd spent 8 months at Walter Reed Medical Center learning to walk again with a prosthetic. The physical pain was excruciating. The phantom limb sensations made him feel like his foot was still there, still hurting, still trapped under the rubble of that destroyed vehicle. The psychological trauma was worse. Survivor's guilt, PTSD, the constant replay of the explosion that had killed his brothers in arms. But Rafael had fought through it. He'd completed physical therapy. He'd learned to use his prosthetic with enough skill to walk without a cane most days. He'd applied for and received veterans' disability benefits. He'd enrolled in college using his GI Bill. He'd built a life after war, even though that life included chronic pain, anxiety medication, and weekly PT appointments to maintain mobility. He'd been medically retired from the Army with honors. He had a Purple Heart for being wounded in combat. He had an honorable discharge certificate. He had VA healthcare for life. He was, by every definition, a disabled combat veteran who'd sacrificed for his country. That Tuesday morning, he'd driven himself to the Denver VA Medical Center for his 11 a.m. physical therapy session. He arrived early, as he always did, to allow time for parking and the slow walk from the lot to the building. His prosthetic leg had been bothering him lately, the fit wasn't quite right, and he was developing pressure sores that his PT was helping him address. He checked in at the front desk, got his appointment slip, and sat down in the main lobby to wait. The VA hospital lobby was always crowded. Veterans of all ages seeking medical care, some in wheelchairs, some with visible injuries, some with invisible wounds. Rafael had found a strange comfort in these spaces. Everyone here understood sacrifice in ways civilians never could. He was scrolling through his phone, checking his class schedule for the week, when 3 people in tactical vests approached him. The vests said IC in large yellow letters. Rafael looked up, confused. Immigration and Customs Enforcement at the VA hospital? That seemed wrong. The VA served veterans, and you couldn't serve in the military without legal authorization. Rafael Mendoza? One of the agents asked. Yeah, that's me. Can I help you? We need to see proof of citizenship. The request was so unexpected that Rafael actually laughed. I'm sorry, what? The agent didn't smile. We have reports of undocumented individuals using VA services fraudulently. We need to verify your legal status to be here. Rafael's smile faded. He looked around the lobby. Other veterans were staring now, some looking concerned, others starting to pull out phones. I'm a veteran. I served in Afghanistan. I lost my leg serving this country. He gestured to his prosthetic leg, clearly visible below his shorts. What reports are you talking about? That's what everyone says when we question them. Do you have documentation proving citizenship? Birth certificate, passport, naturalization papers. Those are at home. I'm here for a medical appointment. I have my VA card, my military ID, those should be enough. The lobby had gone quiet. A security camera mounted above the entrance was capturing everything. The VA hospital had comprehensive surveillance, cameras in every common area, every hallway designed to protect patients and staff. Those cameras were recording this confrontation in high definition. The second agent spoke up. Your VA card and military ID don't prove citizenship. We need official documentation. I was born in Detroit. Raphael's voice rose with frustration and disbelief. I'm an American citizen. I serve this country. I was wounded serving this country. You can verify everything through my military records. We're going to need you to come with us for verification, the first agent said. Come with you. I can barely walk. I have a prosthetic leg. I'm here for physical therapy because my prosthetic isn't fitting right and I'm developing sores. Where exactly do you think you're taking me? There's a processing facility where we can verify your status. It's just a precaution. A precaution? I'm a disabled combat veteran waiting for a medical appointment. This is insane. An older veteran, a man who looked to be in his 70s with a Vietnam veteran cap, stood up. What the hell are you people doing? This kid is a veteran. Leave him alone. The third agent turned to the older man. Sir, step back. This doesn't concern you. It concerns every veteran in this building. You're harassing a wounded soldier in a VA hospital. More veterans were standing now. Some were recording on their phones. A VA staff member at the front desk was on the phone, speaking urgently. The atmosphere in the lobby was shifting from confusion to anger. Raphael tried to stand, intending to show his prosthetic more clearly, prove that he was obviously a veteran with service-related injuries. But standing quickly made his residual limb throb with pain, and he winced, gripping the armrest of his chair. Sir, we need you to come with us, the first agent said again. You can cooperate voluntarily or we can detain you. Detain me? For what? I haven't done anything wrong. I was born in this country. Check your databases. My birth certificate is on file in New Mexico. My military service is documented. My medical records are in this building. Ever been accused of something so absurd you couldn't even process it? Drop a comment because what Raphael was experiencing would get worse before it got better. The agent reached for Raphael's arm. Raphael pulled back instinctively, not aggressively, just a reflexive movement away from being grabbed by someone who was threatening him. Don't touch me, Raphael said loudly. I'm a veteran. I have rights. You can't just grab people out of VA hospitals. Sir, you're resisting. That's only going to make this worse. A VA police officer arrived. The hospital had its own police force responsible for security. Officer Thompson had worked at the Denver VA for 12 years and recognized Raphael as a regular patient. What's going on here? Thompson asked, positioning himself between the IC agents and Raphael. We're verifying immigration status, the lead agent explained. This individual can't provide proof of citizenship. This individual is Rafael Mendoza, a combat veteran who's been receiving care here for years. I know him personally. He's American. He was wounded in Afghanistan. What possible reason do you have for questioning him? We received information suggesting he might be using services fraudulently. Information from whom? Based on what? Do you have any actual evidence, or are you just profiling patients in a VA hospital? The agent's jaw tightened. We don't need to justify our investigations to you. Actually, you do. This is a VA facility. You can't just walk in here and start detaining veterans without cause. I'm calling our chief of police. Thompson stepped away, radio to his mouth. The IC agents looked at each other, clearly not expecting this level of resistance. The lobby now had at least 15 veterans recording on phones, several staff members watching from the front desk, and a growing crowd gathering to see what was happening. Raphael was still in his chair, his residual limb throbbing, his heart racing, trying to understand how a routine PT appointment had turned into this nightmare. He thought about his parents who'd worked so hard to become citizens, who'd raised him to be proud of his American identity. He thought about his army brothers who died in that explosion. He thought about the Purple Heart in a box in his apartment. And he thought about how none of it, not his birth certificate, not his military service, not his visible sacrifice, was enough to protect him from being viewed as suspect. The chief of VA police arrived within 5 minutes, along with the hospital administrator. They convened a quick conversation with the IC agents while Raphael sat there, watched by his fellow veterans who'd surrounded him in a loose protective circle. The hospital administrator was firm. Gentlemen, if you have concerns about a patient's eligibility for VA services, you submit them through proper channels. You don't conduct enforcement actions in our lobby during clinic hours. Mr. Mendoza is a documented veteran with a service-connected disability. His eligibility has been verified multiple times. If you want to question that, you go through the VA's administrative process. We have independent authority to verify immigration status. Not in this facility, you don't. The VA has specific protections for veterans receiving care. You want to investigate, you present a judicial warrant and you coordinate with our legal department. You don't ambush patients in the waiting room. The agents were losing ground. The security footage was capturing everything. The crowd of witnesses was growing. And their lack of actual evidence was becoming more apparent with each passing minute. We're going to need Mr. Mendoza to provide documentation proving citizenship, the lead agent insisted, making one last attempt to salvage the situation. Raphael, still sitting because standing hurt too much, pulled out his wallet. He extracted his military ID and his VA healthcare card. This is my military ID showing I served in the U.S. Army. This is my VA card showing I receive healthcare for service-connected disabilities. Both of these required me to prove citizenship when I applied for them. What more do you want? We need primary documentation. Birth certificate or... It's at home. In my apartment. Where normal people keep their birth certificates. I can have someone bring it, or you can request it from Michigan Vital Statistics, or you can access my military records, which include verification of citizenship from when I enlisted. You have options that don't involve harassing me in a hospital. The hospital administrator's phone rang. She answered, listened for a moment, then spoke to the agents. That was our legal department. They've contacted your regional office. Your supervisors are ordering you to stand down and leave the facility. Any further questions about Mr. Mendoza can be submitted through official channels. The agents looked furious but had no choice. They left, but not before the lead agent handed Raphael a business card. This investigation isn't closed. Raphael took the card with a shaking hand, too angry and exhausted to respond. The moment the agents were gone, veterans surrounded Raphael, patting his shoulder, expressing outrage, offering to be witnesses if he needed them. The Vietnam vet who'd first stood up shook Raphael's hand. That was wrong, son. That was completely wrong. You served this country. You bled for it. And they treated you like a criminal. Don't let it stand. Thompson helped Raphael to his feet. You okay? No, I'm not okay. I'm a veteran. I lost my leg in Afghanistan. And I just got profiled in a VA hospital. How is that okay? It's not. And you need to file a complaint. This needs to be documented. Raphael made it to his PT appointment, 40 minutes late and too emotionally rattled to get much benefit from the session. His therapist could see he was upset and asked what happened. When Raphael explained, she immediately documented it in his medical records, noting that the confrontation had caused him emotional distress and physical pain from standing too quickly. That evening, Raphael called his parents. His mother cried when he told her what happened. His father, a man who'd worked construction for 30 years and never complained about anything, was furious. You served. You were wounded. They have no right to treat you that way. Raphael also called an attorney. The attorney, Benjamin Cross, specialized in civil rights and veterans issues. When Raphael described what happened, Benjamin immediately wanted to see any footage or documentation. Raphael, what happened to you is unconstitutional. You're a citizen. You're a veteran. You were at a VA hospital receiving medical care for service-connected injuries. There's no legitimate basis for questioning your status, and even if there was, the way they did it violated your rights. The VA's security footage was comprehensive. It showed the entire confrontation from multiple angles, the agents approaching Raphael without warning, his visible prosthetic leg clearly indicating service-related injury, his attempts to provide ID, the protective response from other veterans, and the agent's refusal to leave until ordered by their supervisors. The footage also captured something else. Before approaching Raphael, the agents had walked through the lobby looking at different veterans. They'd passed several white veterans without stopping. They'd approached Raphael specifically, a black veteran sitting quietly waiting for his appointment. The racial profiling was undeniable. Should veterans receiving care for service-related injuries be subjected to immigration checks? Let me know in the comments because this case would force that exact question. The lawsuit filed in federal court 9 months later was one of the most detailed Benjamin had ever written. It named the 3 ICE agents individually, their supervisors, the regional director, and the Department of Homeland Security. The complaint alleged violations of the Fourth Amendment, unlawful detention without probable cause, the Fifth Amendment, deprivation of liberty without due process, The 14th Amendment, racial discrimination, and specific violations of veterans' rights under federal law protecting VA patients from harassment. It detailed Rafael's background. Born in Albuquerque, enlisted at 19, served 2 deployments to Afghanistan, wounded in combat, lost his leg to an IED explosion, medically retired with honors, Purple Heart recipient, ongoing treatment for service-connected disabilities. It described the VA hospital confrontation, approached while waiting for physical therapy, questioned about citizenship despite visible military ID and VA card, threatened with detention despite being a disabled veteran unable to walk easily, surrounded by agents despite having committed no crime. It included the security footage showing the entire incident, with timestamps noting how long the confrontation lasted, 17 minutes, how many witnesses were present, at least 20, and how many times Rafael attempted to provide identification for. It included medical records documenting Rafael's service-connected injuries, his ongoing treatment, and the notation that the confrontation had caused him physical and emotional distress. And it included expert testimony about the psychological impact of being profiled and threatened after sacrificing for your country. Rafael had developed increased PTSD symptoms, hypervigilance, anxiety around authority figures, difficulty sleeping, intrusive thoughts about the confrontation mixing with combat memories. The lawsuit sought $21.7 million in damages, $5.2 million in compensatory damages for emotional trauma, exacerbation of PTSD, physical pain from the confrontation and violation of civil rights, $16.5 million in punitive damages to send a message about the cost of targeting disabled veterans. Discovery revealed the agents had no legitimate basis for approaching Rafael. They'd received a vague directive to check Virginia hospitals for potential immigration fraud, without any specific names, evidence, or leads. They'd gone to the Denver VA and essentially looked for people who appeared to be potentially undocumented. In practice, that meant they targeted Black and Latino veterans. The agents had approached Rafael based solely on his appearance. They hadn't checked any databases beforehand. They hadn't verified he was the subject of any investigation. They'd simply seen a Black man in the VA lobby and decided to question him. Depositions were damaging. Why did you approach Mr. Mendoza specifically? He matched our general parameters. What parameters? Individual appearing to be of immigration interest. Appearing how? He was sitting in a VA hospital lobby with a visible prosthetic leg. What made him appear to be of immigration interest? Silence. Did you approach any white veterans that day? I don't recall. The security footage shows you walking past at least 6 white veterans before approaching Mr. Mendoza. Why didn't you question them? More silence. Was Mr. Mendoza's race the reason you questioned him? We don't profile based on race. Then what specific articulable suspicion did you have that Mr. Mendoza was undocumented? The agent had no answer that didn't reveal racial bias. Expert witnesses testified about Fourth Amendment protections. Citizens cannot be detained and questioned about their status without probable cause. Being Black is not probable cause. Being in a VA hospital is not suspicious. Having a prosthetic leg for military service should immediately eliminate any suspicion about documentation. Veterans advocates testified about the sacred trust between the military and those who serve. When veterans are questioned about their right to exist in their own country after sacrificing for that country, it breaks something fundamental in the social contract. Medical experts testified about PTSD exacerbation. Rafael's symptoms had worsened significantly after the confrontation. His sleep was worse, his anxiety was higher, his trust in institutions was destroyed. The trauma of feeling hunted in a place meant to heal him had compounded his combat trauma. The trial lasted 6 weeks. The jury watched the security footage repeatedly. They saw Rafael sitting peacefully waiting for medical care. They saw his prosthetic leg clearly visible. They saw his attempts to provide ID. They saw his pain when he stood up too quickly. They saw fellow veterans surrounding him protectively. They heard Rafael testify about the experience. I lost my leg in Afghanistan, he said from the witness stand. I watched my friends die. I spent 8 months learning to walk again. I live with chronic pain and PTSD. And I accepted all of that because I believed I was serving my country. But when those agents looked at me in that VA lobby, they didn't see a veteran. They didn't see my sacrifice. They just saw a Black man they assumed didn't belong. That broke something in me that physical therapy can't fix. The verdict was unanimous. Liable for unlawful detention. Liable for racial discrimination. Liable for violation of due process. Liable for violation of veterans' rights. Liable for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Compensatory damages, $5.4 million. Punitive damages, $16.3 million. Total, $21.7 million. It was the largest verdict ever awarded to a veteran in a racial profiling case. The 3 agents were terminated. Their supervisor was demoted. ICE implemented new policies prohibiting enforcement actions at VA facilities without specific evidence of fraud and supervisor approval. The VA strengthened protections for veterans receiving care, making it clear that immigration checks of patients were prohibited. Raphael used part of the settlement to pay off his parents' mortgage, thanking them for the sacrifices they'd made to give him opportunities. He donated to veterans organizations supporting disabled service members. He established a scholarship for young people from working-class backgrounds who serve in the military. And he continued his education, eventually earning a degree in social work with a focus on helping veterans navigate PTSD and reintegration. He still goes to the Denver VA for physical therapy. Same hospital. Same lobby. But now there's a policy posted at every entrance. This facility serves veterans. Immigration status checks are prohibited. All veterans receiving care here are protected under federal law. 5 years after the confrontation, Raphael was invited to speak at a Veterans Day event. He told his story to an audience of service members, veterans, and civilians. "I serve because I love this country," he concluded. "I lost my leg for this country. And I do it again because I believe in what America is supposed to be. But we have to hold America accountable when it falls short." Those agents looked at me and saw an outsider. They should have seen a veteran. The lawsuit wasn't about revenge. It was about making sure the next black veteran sitting in a VA lobby doesn't have to prove they belong in the country they bled for. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. What would you do if your sacrifice for your country wasn't enough to protect you from profiling? If visible wounds from military service couldn't prevent you from being treated as suspect? Drop your thoughts below. And if this story challenged your assumptions about who gets questioned and why, hit subscribe. These stories matter. They need to be told. And they prove that justice sometimes requires a jury to put a price tag on dignity. Thanks for being here.